Good morning from Phoenix, Arizona here. Yisrael Boykin. The inspiration for this words of encouragement, it's rooted in our deep love for Chabad of Arizona and Rabbi Levertov and Mrs. Levertov, and also with immense gratitude to the Litzman family, to Mayor and Miriam for their ongoing support. Let us examine our own lives and situations. And the word I'm looking for this morning is somersault. I wanted to speak to you about some concepts in audio as we're beginning to continue to set up our studio here. And, just like the gymnasts, when they do a somersault, they crouch low, they tuck in their chin. So we have to eliminate our ego. And they flip upside down to hit this perfect landing. And in the same way, we must throw ourselves into Torah study, okay? And by turning our perspective completely upside down on its head, we can elevate the mundane and integrate Chassidus into our daily routines and continue to learn a divine lesson from every single thing in our lives. Let's go ahead and begin. The deception of smoothness. There is a profound deception in how we approach spiritual growth, leadership, and family dynamics. We operate under the delusion that if we are doing things right, life should feel completely smooth. When we encounter friction, pushback, or a sudden wall of internal exhaustion, our immediate instinct is to assume something is broken. We look at our tools, our teams, our families, and ourselves, and we say, this isn't working. But Chassidus teaches us the exact opposite. Frustration is not a sign of failure. It is the physical sensation of a vessel being stretched to hold a higher frequency of light. This week, we stand in a powerful transition from the brokenness of the Tisha B'Av to the radical joy of Tu B'Av, the 15th of this month, mapping directly into Parsha's Eikev. As we look across the world right now, my very dear friend, Mayor Litzman, our executive leader, the anchor of our corporate operation, a friend of ours, our family, and him and his wife being pillars of pure excellence in our Anash community. They're physically based in the Holy Land, in the undivided atmosphere of Jerusalem. And we send them our deepest support, prayers for their continued success, and abundant blessings from the home front. Their presence in Jerusalem serves as an anchor of excellence that mirrors the historic milestone we're celebrating right here at home. Rabbi Levertov and Mrs. Levertov entering their landmark 50th year of shlichus. Half a century ago, they arrived to build the foundations of Chabad of Arizona. They showed us exactly what I'm about to talk to you about, how to keep a signal, an audio signal, pure and steady and uncompromised. And they did it in the desert heat with deep reverence for their 50 years of devotion. We look at how to bridge the gap between the peace of Jerusalem, the legacy of Phoenix, and the messy routing of our daily lives. To move forward, we must look directly into the eyes of the two forces that try to shut us down. Objections, okay? External pushbacks and internal collapse. The external objections, they're resistance of the environment around us, okay? Whenever you attempt to elevate a workplace, your synagogue or place of worship, your household, the environment will push back. In business, it looks like a team member resisting a higher operational standard because mediocrity is comfortable. In a community or family, it looks like people retreating into defensive shells when you ask them to step up and take responsibility. This external friction is inevitable. When you inject a higher standard into a room, the room vibrates with discomfort before it aligns. The internal objections, these deceptions of the ego. Far more dangerous is the silent warfare happening inside our own minds. It is the imposter syndrome that whispers, who are you to lead this team or hold this home while such and such is away? It is the crushing weight of burnout that says, you've given enough. Let someone else hold the line. It's the temptation to lighten up, to soften the message, and to compromise just to buy a temporary fake peace. We mistake these objections for reality. We treat them as stop signs. But Chassidus reveals that these objections are merely the outer husks, like a shell. They're called klipot. And inside of it, it's concealing an immense spark of holy potential that is begging to be released. So the concept that I'm trying to bring to you, there are two outputs, okay? Let's look at the underlying mechanics of this friction, all right? In audio engineering, if you want to capture a pristine master recording of your performance, you must plug your recorder into the main output. And this is a stable, unyielding, and uncompressed signal. If you make a mistake of plugging it into the monitor output, your recording level becomes enslaved to a variable volume knob. Every time the room gets too loud, you turn down the speaker knob to protect your ears, and the master recording will drop into total silence. This is the exact transition that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, cracks open for us in this week's Torah reading in Parsha's Eikev in Deuteronomy. He looks at the generation about to cross into the land of Israel, a massive transition from the miraculous desert to a messy, gritty, operational reality of agriculture and warfare, and he warns them, beware lest you eat and are satisfied, and you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand made me this wealth. Deuteronomy 8th chapter, verses 11 through 17. Moses is describing the psychological trap of this monitor output. He's saying, do not let your internal connection to the divine be dictated by a variable volume knob of your physical circumstances. When business is booming or our family is smiling, we turn up the volume. We feel invisible. When personal objections, financial friction, or exhaustion hit, we turn the knob down and slip into despair. True leadership means plugging your soul directly into the main out. It means your baseline commitment to your work teams, your place of worship, your family, and the global network of the entirety of Yisrael remains totally unyielding. And it must be completely, whether your immediate surroundings are turning up the volume or slamming it down. This brings us to the radical nature of this concept of the 15th of Av, which we just celebrated a few days ago. The Talmud states that there were no holidays greater for Klal Yisrael, this entirety of Israel, than the 15th of Av because it represents the arrival of the full moon, the ultimate transformation exactly 6 days after the darkness and the destruction of Tisha B'Av. The Baal Shem Tov explained this paradox through a profound, devastatingly honest teaching on how God interacts with human failure. He taught that when a person slips, falls, and plunges into the lowest steps of spiritual or emotional darkness, the natural human reaction from religious gatekeepers is to yell, to scold, or to isolate the person further. We try to use rigid military force to whip them into shape. But the Baal Shem Tov revealed a secret. When a soul falls into the deepest pit, the Almighty himself descends into that very darkness, places his hands beneath that soul, and lifts them up. Similar to that story that we see in the famous poem about the footprints. And the Baal Shem Tov asks, why does God do this himself instead of sending an angel? Because an angel only understands perfection. An angel would judge the mud. Only the Creator understands that the fall, it wasn't a malfunction. It's not plugging into the wrong jack. It was the beginning. This descent is the beginning of their ascent. The Baal Shem Tov taught that the ultimate light doesn't come from a smooth, perfect life. It is generated when the lowest, most broken point of a human being strikes the bedrock of reality, turns around, and reaches back up to the source. And that's how we are on Tu B'Av. The holiday that we have here on the 15th of Av that we just celebrated, it's not because we stayed perfect. It's celebrated because we were broken on Tisha B'Av. And we chose to transform that destruction into a building block. The Lubavitcher Rebbe constantly emphasized that we do not heal a broken world by shaming people into despair. We do not demand high-level execution with our stiff military boot. True chesed is having the raw courage to look at a frustrated person around you, a person in your community who's checked out, a stressed out child, and see past their external objections. We must recognize their anger and their pushback or their withdrawal. It's just a malfunctioning monitor mix. They are crying out for a stable connection. We cannot live our lives based on temporary, fluctuating emotions. To change the world right now, we must offer our people, our teams, from here to Jerusalem, our spouses and our children, a pure reality of our love and our high standards bound together as one. As we do this, words from the Baal Shem Tov, we bridge the gap across the globe. We honor the 50-year foundation of pioneering excellence set by the Levertov family right here in Phoenix, Arizona. And we deliver the ultimate support to our executive leadership currently standing in Jerusalem right now. For all of us, let us stop fighting the friction. Let us welcome the objections as the raw material of our impending transformation by refusing to turn down our internal volume when the world gets loud. We turn the lowest hills of this exile into the vessels for the ultimate redemption. We unite with the entirety of all Israel from our immediate homes straight to the heart of Jerusalem. Even right now, wishing you a beautiful Shabbat Shalom. We look forward to seeing you from Lava Malka Learning, midnight Phoenix, Arizona time. Thank you.